Change will not come if we wait for some other person, or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. A change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things. We are the change we have been waiting for. In the unlikely story that is America, there has never been anything false about hope. In the face of impossible odds, people who love this country can change it. If you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you'll make progress. There is not a liberal America and a conservative America, there is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America, there's the United States of America. We don't ask you to believe in our ability to bring change, rather, we ask you to believe in yours. Nothing can stand in the way of the power of millions of voices calling for change. Focusing your life solely on making a buck shows a poverty of ambition. It asks too little of yourself. And it will leave you unfulfilled. Why can't I just eat my waffle? It's important to make sure that we're talking with each other in a way that heals, not in a way that wounds. You can put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. Our stories may be singular, but our destination is shared. While we breathe, we will hope. A lot of shelter dogs are mutts like me. You can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. Change. We need. The worst thing that colonialism did was to cloud our view of our past. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. We may not be able to stop evil in the world, but how we treat one another is entirely up to us. Cynicism is a sorry kind of wisdom. My identity might begin with the fact of my race, but it couldn't end there. At least that's what I would choose to believe. A nation that can't control its energy sources can't control its future. Change is never easy, but always possible. All too rarely do I hear people asking just what it is that we've done to make so many children's hearts so hard, or what collectively we might do to right their moral compass, what values we must live by. We will outstretch the hand if you unclench your fist. It's only when you hitch your wagon to something larger than yourself that you realize your true potential. What Washington needs is adult supervision. There is no excuse for not trying. My little girls can break my heart. They can make me cry just looking at them eating their string beans. To those Americans whose support I have yet to earn, I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. I need your help. And I will be your president, too. Someone once said that every man is trying to live up to his father's expectations or make up for their father's mistakes. Each of us deserves the freedom to pursue our own version of happiness. No one deserves to be bullied. You might be locked in a world not of your own making, her eyes said, but you still have a claim on how it is shaped. You still have responsibilities. I wish the country had fewer lawyers and more engineers. At the moment that we persuade a child, any child, to cross that threshold, that magic threshold into a library, we change their lives forever, for the better. Each path to knowledge involves different rules and these rules are not interchangeable. We may come from different places and have different stories, but we share common hopes, and one very American dream. But you see, a rich country like America can perhaps afford to be stupid. I've got daughters. 9 years old and 6 years old. First of all, I'm gonna teach them about values and morals. But if they make a mistake, I don't want them punished with a baby. Let me tell you something. I'm from Chicago. I don't break. It's not surprising, then, they get bitter, they cling to guns or religion or antipathy to people who aren't like them or anti-immigrant sentiment or anti-trade sentiment as a way to explain their frustrations. I think perhaps education doesn't do us much good unless it is mixed with sweat. This shit would be really interesting if we weren't in the middle of it. For we know that our patchwork heritage is a strength, not a weakness. Words to inspire. The best anti-poverty program is a world-class education. If the people cannot trust their government to do the job for which it exists, to protect them and to promote their common welfare, all else is lost. It is that courage that Africa most desperately needs. I'm so overexposed, I'm making Paris Hilton look like a recluse. To those leaders around the globe who seek to sow conflict, or blame their society's ills on the West, know that your people will judge you on what you can build, not what you destroy. Make a way out of no way. Over the last 15 months we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been to 57 states. I think, one left to go. There's nobody to guide through the process of becoming a man. To explain to them the meaning of manhood. And that's a recipe for disaster. We've been warned against offering the people of this nation false hope. But in the unlikely story that is America, there has never been anything false about hope. We cannot help but believe that the old hatreds shall someday pass, that the lines of tribes shall soon dissolve, that as the world grows smaller, Our common humanity shall reveal itself. It was as if he had come to mistrust words somehow. Words, and the sentiments words carried. I will cut taxes, for 95% of all working families, because, in an economy like this, the last thing we should do is raise taxes on the middle class. The title of Reverend Wright's sermon that morning was The Audacity of Hope. I'm the president, but he's the boss. You have the ability and gifts to do whatever you want. It is your turn now to change the world. Yes, we can. All the education and good intentions in the world couldn't help plug up the holes in the universe or give you the power to change its blind, mindless course. And it's safe to assume that those in power would think longer and harder about launching a war if they envisioned their own sons and daughters in harm's way. Although the principle of equality has always been self-evident, it has never been self-executing. What makes a man is not the ability to have a child but having the courage to raise one. Reading is important. If you know how to read, then the whole world opens up to you. Even the smallest act of service, the simplest act of kindness, is a way to honor those we lost, a way to reclaim that spirit of unity that followed 9/11. I stand here today humbled by the task before us, grateful for the trust you have bestowed, mindful of the sacrifices borne by our ancestors. Be conscious of God and speak always the truth. Scientists and engineers ought to stand side by side with athletes and entertainers as role models. 5 days a week, she came into my room at 4 in the morning, force-fed me breakfast, and proceeded to teach me my English lessons for 3 hours before I left for school and she went to work. This victory alone is not the change we seek, it is only the chance for us to make that change. Better to be strong, Lolo, said. If you can't be strong, be clever and make peace with someone who's strong. But always better to be strong yourself. What I could not support was a dumb war, a rash war, a war based not on reason but on passion, not on principle but on politics. We are a people of improbable hope. All this marked them as vaguely liberal, although their ideas would never congeal into anything like a firm ideology. In this, too, they were American. When our government is spoken of as some menacing, threatening foreign entity, it ignores the fact that, in our democracy, government is us. Change won't come from the top, change will come from mobilized grassroots. Religious freedom doesn't mean you can force others to live by your own beliefs. When I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point. In the face of our common dangers, in this winter of our hardship, let us remember these timeless words. With hope and virtue, let us brave once more the icy currents, and endure what storms may come. If they bring a knife to the fight, we bring a gun. This is the moment we must come together to save this planet. Let us resolve that we will not leave our children a world where the oceans rise and famine spreads and terrible storms devastate our lands. Let it be told to the future world that in the depth of winter, when nothing but hope and virtue could survive, that the city and the country, alarmed at one common danger, came forth to meet it. We will restore science to its rightful place and wield technology's wonders to raise healthcare's quality and lower its cost. It was like Special Olympics or something. Let your failures define you, but by the end of 2 years, most have either changed careers or moved to suburban schools, a consequence of low pay, a lack of support from the educational bureaucracy, and a pervasive feeling of isolation. It's in the misery of some unnamed slum that the next killer virus will emerge. So, let us summon a new spirit of patriotism, of responsibility, where each of us resolves to pitch in and work harder and look over not only ourselves, but each other. The big house and the nice suits and the other things that our money culture says you should buy, betrays a poverty of ambition. What matters is how well we have loved. Doubtful of what we can achieve to put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. I realize that in some unspoken, still tentative way, she and I were already becoming a family. In the end, that's what this election is about. Do we participate in a politics of cynicism or a politics of hope? Change has come.